You guys impressed me. However, my unique opportunity is so great, it's so freaking awesome, that I'm really gonna need you both to work for it.
We should tour.
I got to think about that. All right, well, we've got Lucha Underground.
Yes, we did. This show ruled.
I believe this, everybody, was last week's show. November 27th episode of Lucha Underground. No, I guess that would have been, what the hell is today? 7th? No, yeah, last week's show. So not the most recent episode. I thought this show was great.
Yeah. It opened with Conan having a tense meeting with Dario Cueto. He was upset that Cueto's men had attacked Prince Puma from behind. Cueto denied having anything to do with that. Said he had nothing against Puma. Conan said, okay, then I request an anything-goes street fight between Puma and Big Rick. And Cueto agreed. And then Conan stole Cueto's drink, drank it, said thank you, and left. The skits on this show are so awesome.
They are very awesome, but Conan and Dario Cueto are the best thing in wrestling by a country mile. Except for Sami Zayn as a babyface. Other than that, nothing comes close. They're so great.
These are excellent. Mil Muertes versus Drago.
Mil Muertes is also great.
This was a very fun big man versus little man match. A David and Goliath match, this was.
Sure.
You had a big, scary guy who just clubbered on his opponent and threw him around, and a small, fast guy who did a bunch of dives and kicks and flips. They went back and forth for a while, and finally Drago tried something off the top, and Muertes speared him to death and pinned him with a downward spiral. And then they left, and a third man, whose name I never quite got for sure, but I believe it was King Cueto. He crawled down to the ring, and he planted Drago with a fireman's carry into a Michinoku driver. So, sucks to be Drago.
Sucks to be Drago, and he's awesome. Muertes' outfit where he's got the giant Aztec headdress, and he's a huge dude, and he's got the music. I mean, they're doing this storyline where Dario Cueto has a key around his neck, and I think the storyline is he's got a guy. I don't know who it's going to be, but it's like his big movie monster. When all else fails, he's got to bust out whoever this key unlocks. And I'm just thinking, who could possibly be better than Mil Muertes? He's like the ultimate bad guy heel at the end, but apparently there's someone there planning that's an even bigger, scarier dude.
Indeed.
This I got to see. Indeed. Is Bob Sapp around?
I don't know. We had a great Johnny Mundo video package.
This was straight out of some, like that wacky martial arts movie I did.
It might have been.
Where he got some goofy hero that does a lot of crazy stuff.
He explained that he lived and partied and dressed however he wanted and didn't like to follow rules. Apparently what he wanted to do was to sit in a throne surrounded by a bevy of hot chicks and also to kick dudes in the face. And that's why he came to Lucha Underground. He didn't have to worry about politics. He could just hang out with hot chicks and kick dudes in the face.
Sure.
This was awesome. And, you know, he his look on a scale of 1 to 10 is, in fact, a 10. Cueto was surprised to meet Muertes and Katrina in the hallway.
Cueto.
Damn it. There's a Cueto and a Cueto.
I think it's Cuerto.
Anyway, the boss man.
This is why no one can have the same name in wrestling, Vinny. One thing WWE's got right.
You know, that's true. We always laughed at them when guys would show up and like they changed Steven Regal to William Regal. We always thought it was a stupid rule. And then I remember there was like one episode early in their run of TNA that had about 5 guys named Chris.
Yes.
Candido and Harris and Sabin and Daniels and yeah. Everyone should have their own name. So Cueto was surprised to meet Muertes in a hallway. He congratulated him on his win, but Katrina warned him that he could not keep Darkness locked up forever. And he had no idea what she meant.
Well, I'm sure he did. He knows what's locked up.
I guess that's true. Son of Havoc versus Mascarita Sagrada.
Son of Havoc from the open road.
Hailing from the open road.
Yeah, he looks like it.
So, we've noted this. Son of Havoc is a full-grown man. Mascarita Sagrada is a mini. And as Havoc is beating up this man who's like 2 feet shorter than him, Stryker asks what kind of person Havoc is to beat up a man this small. And Vampiro just giggles and says, "It is awesome."
Vampiro is the only man who gives Hulk Hogan a run for his money and saying, dude. He says, I guess Rob Van Dam maybe.
He's up there too.
He's always saying, dude. And then Stryker, it gets worse. He's becoming a WWE announcer, and not in a good way. He's lowered himself now to midget porn comedy.
Yeah, that came up.
In fact, based on what was happening at the time, he may have lowered himself to midget rape porn comedy.
I'm just going to move on.
That's what was happening, Vinny. A little guy was chasing a woman around the ring, and Stryker said, what did he say? Something like
I watched this online
I normally
last night.
watch this on the internet, or stuff like this on the internet.
But if you're going to bring this up, let's go the full bore and note it's a little man in a mask chasing a woman.
That's right.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I don't know. He's got a mask fetish.
Another awkward moment.
It was. So, this match had none of this innuendo, it seemed at the time. But Son of Havoc beat Sagrada up for a long time. Evilise interfered some. And then Sagrada started his comeback with a tope that wiped out Evilise and appeared to wipe out himself. I think it was the lighting, because she was wearing black pants and the floor was also black, so it's hard to tell. It looked like she dropped him right on top of his head. But he popped up and kept on wrestling. And he wiped out Havoc with a planche off the top. They did some more stuff. And Sagrada won with a roll-up. That was fun.
I did like this. I think Mascarita Sagrada is awesome. He did nearly kill himself on at least one of these dives. Multiple crazy dives. People going crazy with Lucha chants. And I always have found in NXT that the Lucha chant is kind of like, it seems forced and seems awkward, much like many of our conversations on this program here tonight. But for whatever reason here, it felt organic and real, and the people seemed really excited to be chanting Lucha. Maybe this chant is actually going to catch on.
Sexy Star versus Chavo Guerrero. Speaking of uncomfortable spots, Chavo it was a match. He was out wrestling her and working over a bit. Then he grabbed her and forcibly kissed her.
Yes.
That is, in fact, sexual assault.
Yeah, I don't know why we need man-on-woman violence on this show. I know the storyline is that it's an underground fight club. It doesn't matter who you are, your size, your sex, your whatever. But not a big fan of that. And then forcing a kiss on her. The one thing I will say is that aside from that, this ended up being a fun segment. A bunch of dudes ran in. She ended up getting her revenge and running them off, and she was standing tall at the end and celebrating. And this was way better than that first show where she faced Son of Havoc, and they built her up as this big, strong, fighting woman, and then she gets beaten up and then pinned.
With a backbreaker.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this was better, but I don't need to see it.
The other guys doing the run-in, for the record, were Pentagon Jr. and Phoenix. And it built up to, I think, Phoenix and Sexy Star against Pentagon and Chavo down the road. Main event was a Boyle Heights street fight. Prince Puma versus Big Rick and his crew.
Big Rick is big.
That's a lot of man, yes.
Holy God, he's like, they said he was 320 pounds. I would not doubt that. He's so huge. And Prince Puma he's not a huge guy, but he's not a small guy. You know, I think he's a little bit lighter, but he's roughly the same size as Johnny Mundo. And man, Big Rick is just a semi-truck.
Yeah.
And Puma comes in, by the way, I should add. 3 heels against 1 babyface. He didn't even flinch.
Oh, no.
He just pointed at him like, you 3 fuckers, let's go.
Let's go. And then guess what? He kicked their ass.
Unlike a Dolph Ziggler who's, oh, it's so unfair.
Yeah. He ran wild on the 3 of them for a while. Dials all over the place. Crowd's going nuts. And by the way, one of my favorite things about Lucha Underground is, in fact, the crowd. I have never established if these are like paid actors.
Well, I can answer this a little bit.
All right.
I had been under the impression that these were planted fans. But I've had several people tell me that these are all real fans, that they didn't hire anybody. Maybe there were some people there, friends and family of the crew or whatever, and this and that, but I was told this was largely all actual fans that showed up at the event.
Well, they're awesome. They're into everything. They cheer all the heroes. They boo all the heels. And they are never bored. And perhaps it's because it's actually a good show, and thus they are entertained. But
Actually, hold on. Now that I think about it, I think the guy that told me that was Matt Stryker. So maybe I need to find a second source for this information.
Listen, why they come off this way is irrelevant. It makes for much better television.
That's true.
To see a crowd that is enthused and screaming their heads off and having a ball, and not sitting on their hands, giving lukewarm cheers, chanting for guys who quit a year ago. These people love their show, and it's awesome. So Puma was great flying around, kicking all their asses. Eventually, Big Rick overwhelmed him with size. The match slowed down at this point, as it should. He clubbered on him for a while. Then he got bored of clubbering on him. He brought his men in to do his dirty work for him. He sat in a chair in the corner while his men worked Puma over.
The more I think about this match, the more it's awesome.
This match was awesome. This match was fucking awesome.
Just the way it was structured.
Yeah. Puma finally, he fights free of the two flunkies, and he looks across the ring and charges and kicks Big Rick out of his chair. And Rick collapses in the corner. He was stuck in the corner for a while and couldn't get up because the chair was in his way.
A man getting drop kicked backwards out of a chair is never not an awesome pro wrestling spot.
Yeah. So Puma continues his comeback, and he goes to hit Big Rick with a stick. But as you know,
excuse me?
With a stick.
It's going to be a great song at some point. He went to hit Big Rick with a stick.
With a stick. But there's a flaw in this plan. As you noted, Rick is really big.
Oh, yeah.
And he completely no-sold these stick shots. Stick shots. God damn it, Brian. Now because of you, I can't even use that word. Cane shots.
I like stick.
All right. It is. It's a stick. So Puma swings the cane, and Rick catches it under his arm, and he gives him the stare of death, and he pulls on the cane, and this pulls Puma towards him, and Rick drops him with an elbow strike of complete death to the face.
He killed this guy.
This looked so brutal. So then they put a ladder in the corner, and they hung Puma upside down on the ladder, and the two flunkies from the floor grabbed his arms and stretched him out, and Rick was about to cane him to the next dimension when who should appear in the rafters but Johnny Mundo? And he comes running off this ledge, flies through the air, lands in the ring, and rolls through and pops up to his feet. The best superhero in real life you ever saw.
It was so crazy. I thought that he was going to run and leap off the balcony and dive onto some heels. But no, he was just making a spectacular entrance.
Yes.
He leaped high into the air. He rolled, he landed and did a forward roll and then stands up. And all he was missing was a cape and a fan.
And a fanfare.
To blow his hair and his cape back.
Do-do-do.
And then he made his comeback. It was so awesome.
He makes his big giant comeback. And finally, he's about to whack Big Rick with a steel chair. But then Rick dodges, and Mundo hits Puma instead. Oh no! And then the heels toss Mundo out of the ring, and they bring a table in, and Big Rick slams Puma through the table and pins him. And evil wins the day. This show was awesome.
I thought it was so great because they obviously have something with Prince Puma. And so the idea that he was going to come in here and lose to Big Rick, it was sort of like, well, if he's going to lose, they better do something good. And they did. It took 4 men, essentially, to beat this guy. He went in there as a babyface. He did not complain. He held his own. He beat their asses. He was finally overwhelmed 3-on-1. Some guy came to make the save, and then that guy screwed up and hit him. So it was 4 guys it took to beat Prince Puma. And obviously they can, set up Puma getting his revenge later. But if you're going to beat a babyface, this is how you beat a babyface and not hurt him. This was such a well put together match. It involved Rick.
Yes.
Big Rick,
Ezekiel
for crying out
Jackson.
loud. Yeah, and it was great. Part of that's Prince Puma is awesome, but really, they told a story in the ring. Another novel concept in a night of novel concepts here on this program. They told a story in the ring, and it was a great story, great characters, great baby faces, great heels. I love this show. Dave didn't like the most recent episode. I don't know if he didn't like it, but he said the show was he wasn't as into it anymore. We'll find out next week, because I really thought that this particular show was great. Now, granted, we've taken 2 weeks off of Lucha Underground, so maybe it's just novel. But we'll try and get caught up here, and we'll find out if it's jumping the shark or if it's really as good as it seemed tonight. But I liked this show. I thought it was great. All right, everybody, let's do one last show here. And then... All right, let's do this Lucha Underground.
All right, we watched Lucha Underground immediately after TLC, so I'm just going to say this out. It took me half this show to wake up. This is not their fault. It's not my fault. It's WWE's fault.
What are you talking about? You were marking out from the first 5 seconds.
I marked out for Danny fucking Trejo.
That's right.
Machete himself was in the crowd.
Yeah.
Should have been all
Fuck,
over
I wish he was a part of the show.
Yes. King Cuerno versus Superfly. What I got out of this was King Cuerno had a deer head on his head.
That's right.
He won with a fireman's carry slam, and he had a stare down with Drago.
Wake up, homeboy.
Listen.
We don't need a Cuerno and a Cuerdo. I do know that.
That is true. Guerrero and Cueto.
You better do a better job recapping this Pentagon Jr. video.
Pentagon Jr. was the best thing in the show. Yes, that includes the ladder match. Pentagon grew up fighting in Lucha Libre in Mexico, but he wanted to be an even more dangerous fighter. So he traveled to the Far East.
This is so great. What a burial of Lucha, by the way.
Kinda. He traveled to the Far East to learn martial arts from the samurai.
Actually, what they said is he traveled east. Far East.
Yes. He traveled to learn the arts of the samurai, and soon he surpassed them all. And they showed him in dojos and temples, and he was beating up dudes using karate and kung fu and jujitsu. And he took a guy down, slapped him in an arm bar, and he cranked the dude's arm, and the dude screamed because his arm was broken, and then a candle went out. And they said Pentagon Jr. had no fear.
No, he had zero fear.
This was excellent.
This was the best video all time, all my life. And they wrote on the bottom of the screen, 0, and they spelled it out, 0 fear. Amazing.
Phoenix versus Chavo Guerrero. Pentagon Jr.'s big appearance after his hype video was being in Chavo's corner. Sexy Star was in Phoenix's corner. So Phoenix ran wild a bit, went after both heels with a dive, but Chavo cut him off. And listen, I'm not going to lie, I missed the finish. Chavo won. They did not show a replay.
Chavo won with a frog splash. They never show replays.
No. So Sexy Star cut a promo warning Chavo that he was coming back, and she called Chavo a bendejo.
Yeah, you know who he is?
Matt Stryker explained it's a reference to Blue Demon.
Oh, man, must we?
It's a warning to us, the fans.
Truly a threat, the return of Blue Demon Jr.
Had a hype video for a dude named Cage.
It's Brian Cage.
All right.
Remember from TNA, the big jacked up guy that did a lot of springboards and flips and such?
No.
Remember he looked like awesome, and if I recall, I can't remember if he won.
Like one of the gut check guys?
Yeah.
I see.
He was like one of the best guys they had, and I think he lost, if I recall correctly. I can't remember.
Probably. So he is an enormous, jacked up white dude with sideburns who flips over tires and can do a moonsault.
He's not man. He's machine. He's a machete.
Machete would kill this motherfucker. Main event was the ladder match for $100,000 between Johnny Mundo, Big Rick, and Prince Puma.
I love Big Rick.
Big Rick's whole act is such a 1,000,000% improvement.
Oh, yeah.
He is a big, scary guy who is capable of shrugging off strikes from much smaller men and clubbing them into submission, but he also has a lot of power and influence and money. And he has flunkies. And sometimes he'd just rather have his flunkies do the work for him.
Well, he's afraid of heights, and he's in a ladder match.
He's a very large man who should not be climbing ladders. But sometimes he also just, like he had the singles match against Puma last week. And after a while, he just got bored beating up Puma and brought his flunkies in the ring to do some offense. Just cuz.
I got to say one thing about this ladder match here. The ladder match with Ziggler and Harper, compared to this ladder match right here, were so completely, amazingly different. In a lot of ways, I enjoyed this ladder match better. It was nowhere near as crazy as the TLC ladder match, but it told a much better story. The story of the ladder match on the TLC pay-per-view was, we got to kill each other. It was, let's figure out what dangerous, crazy spot we can do. The craziest spots we can think of without actually killing ourselves. And in this match, it was, what creative spot can we do? And we'll try not to kill ourselves. And if you think this was a bad match with these guys not killing themselves, you're wrong. This was a great match. They had spots like, at one point, I think it was Johnny Mundo tipped a giant ladder over because he was going to drop it on Prince Puma. But Puma knew exactly where to stand, so when the ladder fell down, It fell right around him.
Actually, let me talk about that. Rick and his crew were on the floor, and there was a giant ladder set up on the floor, and Mundo was on the apron right in front of the ladder. And he's doing stuff with Puma. And Puma charges, and Mundo ducks, and Puma goes over the ropes, through the ladder, and wipes out all three heels. That was ridiculously amazing. Then, as you noted, Mundo tipped the ladder over so it would fall on Puma, and Puma turtles up, and the ladder falls basically around him. He is completely untouched. It was exactly like Buster Keaton when the house fell on him and he fell right in the window.
That's right. That's exactly what it was.
Their biggest spot in the entire match was a spot where, if it all went right, no one would get hurt.
That's right.
That's what wrestling is.
And it was great.
It was great. So it was largely 1-on-1-on-3. And Mundo was, both of the baby faces were constantly fighting off Rick's flunkies. And finally, they were able to put them through tables. The one big, scary, stupid spot was Puma was pressed by Big Rick, who pressed him over his head and then over the ropes through a ladder that had been bridged on the floor. That was nuts. But it took Puma out. And so the big finish was Rick has his flunkies climb. And he runs interference so Johnny Mundo can't get in the ring to stop them. And Mundo's trying to get in, and finally he hits a kick to the head that knocks Big Rick aside. He does a springboard onto the ladder, and in the process hits the other ladder, which the other two dudes are on, and they fall over and they're down, and Mundo grabs the briefcase and wins. That was a great finish.
They had a better spot even earlier where Rick is climbing, but he's scared of heights. So he puts two ladders next to each other, so he has double ladders to climb up. And so he's got one foot on one ladder and the other foot on the other ladder, and he's trying to climb slowly. And Johnny Mundo, jumps onto the other side of the two ladders, and so they're doing a face-off. And Johnny Mundo is shaking the ladders, and this is scaring the hell out of Big Rick because he doesn't like heights. And they're teasing all of this stuff. And finally, Johnny Mundo kind of separates the two ladders, like he's trying to make poor Big Rick do the splits and fall on his ass. But instead, he delivers a punt to the nuts, and poor Big Rick falls off the ladder. The easiest, he landed on his feet, by the way, and then fell down on the ground.
Yes.
It's such a great spot right there. The fans went crazy when they did table spots because they waited 15 minutes before putting somebody through a table, so it actually got a big reaction, unlike on the TLC show where by the end nobody gave a shit about anything. And we had the one spot where, I can't remember who it was, but they fell down, and Vampiro said, and I quote, "Brother, he got dropped on his ass!"
Yes.
Died. He also said, "God damn," at one point. Jesus, I believe he said. This Vampiro doesn't give a shit.
No, he does not.
No, he's great.
And that's why he's great.
That's right. Storyline, by the way, is that Puma is on his way to being the best wrestler in the entire world, but at this point he is young and dumb and stupid. But he'll get better. I loved it. Creative finish that didn't involve a dude dying. Very exciting ladder match. I cannot complain one bit about any of this, and if you complain about this because nobody died, I don't know what to tell you. Go watch Auto Racing or something. And there you go.
I am done. Big neck, big checks, big neck, big checks, big guy, big traps, big guy, big traps, big guy, big traps, big guy, big traps, big neck, big checks, the big neck, big checks.
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? I'm just kicking and jumping, leaving the competition, making them disappear like your favorite magician. What's up? 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 What's up?
If Punk had balls, Ryback would have hit him with them a long time ago. And Punk was not sure what to make of that line.
Hit him with his balls?
Yes.
The big guy.
Should mention the best thing on SmackDown was a tribute to the Troops segment that they did. It was great.
All right.
Go ahead, Vinny.
Lucha Underground. Show opened. There was 10 men in the ring. They did not know why they were there. The announcers did not know why they were there. And so Dario Cueto appeared. He said this would be a 10-man match. And then 10 men would compete in another match later. And there was a secret prize at stake for the winners.
That's right. He was so excited to announce a 10-man match.
Yes.
That's what it was called.
And that is what it was.
The 10-man match.
It was not a battle royal. It was a 10-way match. There were 10 dudes, and whoever got the first pin or submission would win. So, at the opener, everyone just stood back and watched Mascarita Sagrada and Big Rick do chain wrestling.
That's right.
And if that does not sell you on Lucha Underground, I don't know what else to say.
I'll tell you what sells me on Lucha Underground. Machete was in the front row.
Yes.
Having the time of his life.
Fact.
He had such a great time.
Son of Havoc and Prince Puma engaged in what I believe was a battle of Jim Kata. Everyone was hitting dives and high-fiving Machete. Rick just started dumping everyone with elbows and lariats. So they lead to the spot where everyone hits a big move and makes a cover or hooks a submission, and another guy runs in and breaks it up and hits a big move of his own, etc., etc. And Pentagon hits some kind of move, and Mascarita Sagrada runs in and boots him right in the face.
So hard.
And I realize Mascarita Sagrada is a small person.
Doesn't matter.
That means he also has a small footprint, which means there's greater pressure.
Yes.
More pounds per square inch.
Poor Pentagon
It looked
was
like it sucked.
not the same after this.
No. May never be.
No.
I believe it was Aerostar who hit the biggest tope of the entire match. And Puma was running wild on Rick. And Phoenix cut him off. And they went back and forth a bit. And Phoenix pinned Puma with an over-the-shoulder pile driver. This was a great, great spot fest.
It was awesome.
If you just want all-action men running around doing cool moves, this is the match for you.
I cannot do justice to this match. I'm not going to say it was a 5-star match. But Vampiro, who has been around for decades, called it one of the most exciting and maybe the most exciting match he had ever seen. It was by far the best match of the week. It was one of the better TV matches I've seen all year. It was, I thought, the best match in the history of Lucha Underground. It was such an awesome, fun battle. This was a match that you could show somebody that doesn't like wrestling, and they would just be watching it in awe at all of this complete insanity.
It was awfully great.
There's little people, there's giants, there's flips, there's dives, there's wrestling. This had everything you could possibly want in a fun match. This was the most fun match I've seen in my life. How about that?
It was the best match we watched this week.
Go watch it, everybody.
Yes. The next match was a 10-man battle royal. And I use the term men here loosely because it involved both Sexy Star and Pimpinella Escarlata.
This was not a 10-man match.
A 10-person match.
Yes.
So Pimpinella's out there, maybe legit twice as old as some of these people, still doing wacky spots off the ropes. And he grabs Johnny Mundo's hand and attempts to walk the ropes like The Undertaker. And then Mil Muertes walks over and punches Mundo. And this makes Mundo fall down, which pulls Pimpy down, and Pimpy does a face plant off the top rope onto the mat.
So,
I howled
God.
with laughter.
It was not good for this poor guy.
And he got dumped shortly thereafter, and everyone booed. So it came down. Well, there was a long battle between Johnny Mundo and Big Rick's flunkies, and he finally got them all out. And the last three were Mundo, Chavo Guerrero, and Mil Muertes. And Mundo got Chavo out. And then the last two guys, Mundo and Muertes, had a long, not very good battle. And after a lot of teases and rope spots and stuff, Muertes just clotheslined him out, and that was it.
This was not as good as the opener.
No, this is below average battle royal, frankly, especially once Pimpinella got eliminated.
You know what's funny is they did these two matches, and I knew they were building towards a Royal Rumble, but I didn't. Dave reviewed this show, and either I forgot or he didn't mention it. But when they're talking about the two 10-man matches, and the winners are going to get something, as soon as Phoenix beat Prince Puma, the gears started turning in my head. I was like, why did they put Phoenix over and not Prince Puma? And then Muertes won, eliminating John Morrison. And so then it was like, okay, I'll bet that these two guys are going to do a singles match, and the winner is going to enter last in the Royal Rumble, and the loser is going to enter first. And I was thinking of this in my head, and I was like, this is pretty creative if I do say so myself. What an idea. And believe it or not, that is exactly what Dario Cueto came out and said. He came out with a belt, the Lucha Underground Championship, the cheapest thing about this entire production, ironically.
It was a very ghetto belt.
That's
and
right.
I'm pretty sure he was holding it upside down.
He said whoever wore the belt would be the best fighter in the whole world, and he had created the most grueling match ever, Aztec Warfare. And essentially it is going to be, yes, a Royal Rumble in January.
Oh, there
On
you go.
January 7th for Lucha Underground. He was so proud of himself to have come up with not only a 10-man match, but a Royal Rumble. This guy's got a future in this business.
He does know how to promote.
That's right. He made this Royal Rumble sound more exciting than the real Royal Rumble. I can only hope that spears are involved and perhaps human sacrifice.
Yes, when I heard Aztec Warfare, my first thought was the winner is the first man to sacrifice his opponent to the gods.
That's right. Or all of the losers will be sacrificed to the gods.
Which I would tune in to watch, by the way. So, instead, you may have mentioned this, but the winner of this here one-on-one match, the winner would be the last man in Aztec Warfare, and the loser would be the first man in Aztec Warfare.
Yes.
This is a very Lucha thing to do. Like in a cage of death match, where the quote-unquote winner is really the guy who came in second to last.
Indeed.
This is a case where the winner of the 10-man match the winner of the 10-man match or the Battle Royal would in fact be the first man into the Aztec Warfare. So it was Mil Muertes versus Phoenix. They spent, 7-8 minutes going back and forth the entire time. I had no idea who was supposed to be a heel or a face. And then Phoenix tried some wacky thing where he climbed up the ropes and jumped from one rope to the other and spun around, and finally he comes flying off, and Muertes just killed him with an uppercut. That was awesome. And then Muertes hit the flatliner and won. So Phoenix is the first combatant in Aztec Warfare, and Muertes will be the last.
Which is perfect. It's exactly what you want. The biggest, scariest badass is the final guy in that everybody has to destroy.
Yeah.
This was very much like a Saturday night's main event where the big main event went on first, and it was all downhill from there. Not a bad show.
The first match was best.
I did like
very
when
clear.
They were setting up the Battle Royal, that it was a 10-person Battle Royal, but there were only 9 people in there. And Chavo Guerrero, for whatever reason, got his own entrance.
Yeah.
Don't even know why. And then he walked by Machete, who badly wanted a handshake, and Chavo shunned him. He'll pay for that. He will pay for that. That was Lucha Underground, everybody. A fabulous show. That main event, or the opening match, I'm sorry, not the main event. That opening match was very, very good. So everybody go out of your way to watch that one. If you watch nothing else this week, watch that main event right there. Let me find this best of 2014. Here's a 4-minute version that Dewey has put together. His real name, by the way, is David. Let's hear some of this.
Oh, yeah, major blowjob, whatever things.
Really?
You know? Yes.
What's the problem?
Hey, man, what's happening? How are you?
Did he really send me a Charlie McCarthy doll? No, I've never been stiffed by a little person.
Your opponents have.
Fuck no. God, I don't even want to hear this stupidity.
You should get a scissor lift.
The problem is no one will be there at the house show to confirm or deny whether Nux is there.
I do.
I confirmed Dave was banging his head against the wall. That wasn't banging hard enough to get color.
Yeah, we wrestled all the time in the YWF.
There were a number of people that
I thought John Cena completely sucked in this match.
Why didn't you just let him get the fucking win?
That's one.
The dog was there to be interviewed, but the dog had nothing to say.
Much like Linda Blair, only not as hot.
I think Chris Benoit was murdered by another professional wrestler, Kevin Sullivan.
This was the worst match I think I have ever seen.
I like the way Carl Stern says Bayer.
Bar.
Bayer.
And then the bunny raped Adam Rose.
Are you? How much? You watching G1?
I did. So I'm on day 2 right now.
Clicking follow.
Oh, man.
Oh, God, this is what I am following. Excited to have Bram TNA on my roster. Unfollow. I don't need this shit.
Oh, my God. Oh, my fucking God.
He'll be at church for 2 hours on Sunday now, poor fucker. Or poor little guy.
Did you see that frickin' move that the Young Bucks did?
Fuck you. Fuck this show. Fuck this company. Fuck the fans. Fuck everyone watching. Fuck me for talking about it. Fuck you for listening to me talk about it. Just fuck all of it.
Tully Blanchard is definitely the brains of this team.
Is this a Bo Dallas hotline?
No, it's not.
I'm sorry.
Hold on. Ma'am? Can we take yours? Okay, sorry.
It's a purple wang all night long.
What'd you do with the snow? Oh. Threw him overboard?
Oh, yeah.
Wow,
big splash.
You can't go back. You can't put toothpaste back in the tube, which I tried to do this morning. That's why I came up with that analogy.
Have you ever tried to dye your hair gray?
These are frickin' crazed bitches that need to move on.
You were Spanky, right?
The man called Sting. He's a man called Sting. The man called Sting.
Sir, I admire you.
Hugh says roughly as a percentage. How much higher are UFC?
18.
Start with 2 guys in the ring. They fight for a while. Then another guy hits the ring, and every time a guy hits the ring, his team wins until another guy hits the ring. That's it.
Performance art.
Sean O'Hare dead. SmackDown unmoved.
Fucking chickens.
For fuck's sake, Brian.
I love Vincent Burham, man. He is the true genius.
What about a boat? You ever thought of taking a boat across the Atlantic?
Well, that's what I just said.
I mean-
were you asleep? What did you hear? Seriously?
I am male like cock is cock nut.
No, but it would be nice if we could chop off his head and replace it with one of the Usos.
And after the video was over, my son asked, Daddy, did Bully Ray kill her?
Am I sitting on it? Yes, in fact, I'm actually sitting on it right this minute.
Where is 11A?
Any update, I mean, as far as the status of Ken Kobayashi or Fergal Devitt coming in or starting or anything like that?
Who?
There you go, everybody.
Spoiled his own finish.
He did, actually. I had forgotten about probably 20% of those, and hearing them again, howled. This is up on the board, everybody. If you head up to the board, go to the radio show section, it is impossible to miss.
I know everyone thinks my freakouts are best, but you can't top exasperated Dave Meltzer.
No, you can't. Oh, man. I listened to Dave when he was tearing apart John Cena during that one match and how long he tore him apart. And I didn't think it was that bad a match, but Dave really did not like that match, to the point he quizzed me about whether I'd really watched the match. He could not believe that I could have actually watched the match and not thought that it was as terrible as he did. This compilation is amazing, everybody. So head up to the board and go to the radio show section and download it. And I'll see what I can do about playing it elsewhere. I got to get some permission from Dewey first, but it's awesome.